Hello and welcome to Learn, Do, Become Radio. I'm April Perry, and here at Learn, Do, Become, we help people who are overwhelmed by the details of life to create simple systems so they can do what matters most. If right now you feel like you are spinning in circles, you're working really hard, you're overwhelmed, so much is popping up, your mind is feeling crazy, and you just want to be able to feel calm and on top of things and live your purpose and love your family and be healthy and happy, that's what we want for you as well. And today I'm just sharing something for any of you who are dreaming and kind of going on faith right now. I wanted to share a story from my own life and share some of the things I'm working on right now with the hope that as we connect through this podcast, you can feel how much we want to encourage you and support you. And I hope that as we, have these kind of two-sided conversations where I know I talk into the microphone and you listen to the podcast, but then I get so many comments and responses and emails and messages back that I actually feel super excited. We are having a conversation and I love coming together to be with you. So what I'm imagining right now is that you are in a situation where you are trying to build a dream. Whether it's something in your personal life, some goals you're working on, maybe it's something in the family that you want to create, maybe it's a legacy you want to leave or some work that you're doing professionally, maybe you're starting a business. But when we have dreams that take time, which most worthwhile dreams do, or maybe I would say all worthwhile dreams do, there's often a lot of faith that needs to happen in the middle of it. Faith in our own energy and strength and the ability that we have to continue and to be diligent and to persist. Also, perhaps, at least in my case, it's faith in a higher power that I have help along the way. Maybe it's faith in your friends and family or the people who are on your team or working alongside you, that together you can create something better than you could create alone. And so whatever it is you're thinking about, I know you're working hard on a lot of things because I hear from you. I hear about the awesome projects you're doing and the relationships that you're building and all the things that you're doing in your heart to try to make a difference. Because if the world needs anything right now, it's people who genuinely want to make a positive impact. And that's who gathers here at Learn to Become. To be honest, when I sit down to record these podcasts, I honestly feel like I just get to sit down and talk to my best friends. When you're talking to people at the grocery store or at the school or even neighbors as you're kind of walking by, you're often not going straight to the heart. Hey, tell me how you're feeling today. What is most pressing on your heart? What are you most excited about? What are your deepest dreams? I kind of wish we talked more about those kinds of things more often, but it's not really part of society. But when I sit down to podcast, and especially now that you've started sending in pictures of yourself for me to hang in my podcast room, thank you, by the way. And if you want to still just email them to care@learndobecome.com. I love it. I'm so excited because then I feel like I have real people I'm picturing. So thank you. And even though we're not sitting in the same room and we're not necessarily living in the same city and we don't often actually see each other, I think there's just as powerful of a connection and a relationship. So I think of you as my dear friends and I appreciate the chance to talk. Okay, and in the hopes that I'm not just talking to make noise, but I'm talking to help hopefully encourage you. Because I know I have definitely needed the encouragement in the past and I know that I need it now. All right, so I want to just share a story that happened back in 2014. And Eric and I were driving our children across the country. We were going back to the graduate school where it's like the 10-year anniversary of graduate school. And so we decided to drive all the way across the country from the West Coast to the East Coast in a van with our 4 children. And it was an epic journey. We were gone for, I think, 3 weeks overall, just kind of worked from the road. And anyway, it was a great trip. But I want to give you a little bit of context where we were personally and professionally during that time. We had just gone through several years of just struggle. When the crash happened in 2008, we were in real estate. Eric was working in land acquisition for a real estate company. And everything just kind of, didn't go so well in 2008. I'll just say it like that. And so we had started to build some side businesses and we were doing a lot of work. We were feeling a little bit overwhelmed, I think, in general. And we had these 4 young children. So our oldest was 14 and then our youngest was 7. And it was just so much work. We were tired. We were depleted. We were hopeful. We were heavily involved in education and learning. We were deep in the struggle. And, we still had that optimism, like, okay, we're building something. But our house was pretty tight and small. And we felt kind of stuck, just to be honest. We felt kind of stuck. We knew we were doing good things, but we were just feeling like, that Groundhog's Day, it was very prevalent. It was a daily thing. And so as we were on this trip, we stopped by this historic home and we were touring it with our children. And the tour guide was telling us about the family who lived in this home. Now, it had been built, I don't know what year, but it was, more than 100 years old. It was, way back in the day. Anyway, we're going through this historic home and they're talking about the family that lived there and how they were able to contribute to their community, how they were living their life to help serve God, how they used that home for beautiful purposes to host people. It was amazing, and it was a powerful, beautiful place. And this kitchen was the heart of the home, and there were all these doors off the kitchen, and it wasn't a huge home, but back in the day, that was a huge home. And I'm walking through it and just feeling so inspired by this family who, because they had this space in their home, they were able to host and serve and do things. And because they had worked well in their business, they were able to have the means to be able to be a support in a lot of areas where financial resources were needed. And as I was sitting there looking around the home, I just thought, wouldn't it be amazing if we got to have a home like this that had more space? Like, I want a podcast recording room. I would like to have a room we could actually have friends over, because our children never invited friends over because we just didn't have space for them. We were all on top of each other. And whenever friends came into town, we wanted to host them. They'd be sleeping like on our living room floor, or, try to stick an air mattress somewhere random. But it was just so many people in the house. It was just stressful to have anybody else there. And so I'm thinking to myself, wow, I wonder if we could do this, if we could be those kinds of people who have some space and financial resources to be a support. Like, that's what I wanted. And then there was this little voice that came in my head, and I think all of you are familiar with that voice, kind of that negative voice. If you think about like the 2 wolves, or you think about like an adversary versus God, however you think about it, I think of it kind of like an adversary. But the voice basically said, and I'm just going to paraphrase. I actually have it like written down word for word because I went out in the car afterwards and I wrote it down word for word, because then another voice came after that. So I'm going to share both. But first, the adversarial voice, I'll just call it that, said something like, do you really think that you could ever have a home or a life like that? Like, that's selfish of you to even dream about it. You don't deserve it. Don't build it up in your mind like there's something special you're supposed to do in this world. God doesn't care where you live. Don't even think you could do it. You probably could never even afford it. No, it wasn't even probably. It was like, you could never afford it. You couldn't do it. You shouldn't want it. This isn't possible for you. It was just this negative voice. And I just remember thinking like, oh, yeah, that's probably right. I shouldn't even dream for that. I'm fine in our house. I'm so blessed to have a house. I shouldn't be like wanting more. But then as I kept walking through the house, there was this beautiful voice that I recognize as God's voice. And again, if you have different religious beliefs than me, please don't get all stressed out. Like, we're here to find common ground, and I think you can hopefully relate to what I'm talking about, even if you think of it differently. But the next voice I heard that lifted me basically was saying, April, there is a lifetime ahead of you in which you're going to serve me. And you need to plan the home that will best facilitate the work you're going to do. So plan it carefully. Think about it. I will help you to be able to build that and to be able to have that energy and the resources to be able to make that possible. And I'm just paraphrasing again. But it was this beautiful voice basically saying, I want you to be able to grow into that. I want you to be able to serve in those ways. And come to me to ask those questions, and I'm going to help you. And when I got out to the car, we got our children all buckled in, and I just had tears streaming down my cheeks, and Eric's like, what's going on? I'm like, hang on, I just got to write something down. So I pulled out my phone, Evernote. I opened my Evernote, and I just wrote down word for word what I felt, like the adversarial side and the God side. And then I read it to Eric. And as I read it, I just felt so much hope and so much power. And it was so clear, like, we're going to be able to do this. And these dreams we're having aren't selfish. We want to serve, and this can happen. So after our trip, we went back home, and we continued working and building and going to conferences and thinking. We started Learn, Do, Become the next year. We started growing and growing and growing and just doing our best in all areas. And there were struggles for sure. Like, those next 3 years were some of the hardest years I've lived up to this point. But in 2017, we were able to move. And I just want to share a little bit about that process, because I don't take it lightly at all. And I'm hopeful that as I share this, that you're going to be able to think about your own goals and what you're working towards. And I hope this will help you a little bit. So we knew we'd wanted to move, and we were working on it. And I got out a file folder, and I opened it up, and then I got sticky notes. And I made a sticky note for each component of the house that I needed. I actually made a list, and I still have it in Evernote, of which rooms I wanted. And then, so on the left, it had a list of rooms. And on the right, I had a list of the purpose for each room. Like, I want to have a podcast room so I can have a dedicated space to be able to sit down and to be able to record and uplift and encourage. I want to be able to make a difference. And prior to that, I'd be sitting out in my garage, or I would be in my closet, or I'd be out in my car, or I'd try to go in the office if no one was around. One quick story, one time I was recording a podcast, and there was like a mouse in the garage. I don't know if I've shared the story before. I might have. Anyway, I had to record the entire podcast with my feet off the ground, like I was elevating them because I was afraid the mouse was going to run under my feet. I kept hearing it. It was like running around the garage. So as I'm recording, I'm like, there is literally a mouse in here that I think is going to come get me. Anyway, I kept recording, but that was kind of a humbling experience. I didn't want anyone on the podcast to hear the mouse or hear me worrying about a mouse, because I felt so lame. Anyway, so that was why I wanted the podcast room. I wanted a place I didn't have to worry about mice, and I didn't have to worry about someone coughing or yelling or running in, and I didn't have to sit in a closet. And so I could more fully live my purpose. I wanted a kitchen that had space so that the family could cook together and gather together. I wanted a room that was big enough to be able to have people over so we could host and we could, have events there, and we could bring people into our home and strengthen them in groups. I wanted our children to be able to invite people over. And so I went through and described everything I wanted, front yard, backyard, in the house, on sticky notes and typed out, okay? So and the whole time I did it, I went back and read those words that had been impressed on my mind back when I was in that historic home. I went back and read those words probably at least once a week, and just thinking, okay, God told me that I could do this, and this is genuinely what I want to create. Well, it didn't work for us to move 2016. We thought we found the right place. We didn't. So we tried again. So 2017, we're getting ready, and we're hoping to move. And we find the location where we want to move, and there's only a few houses even for sale in the area. So Eric and I took a weekend trip, and we went and toured the houses. And one house was next to a horse stable, and it was really smelly out in the backyard. It was this is not the house. This is just kind of weird, and the layout was weird. Anyway, then we came and walked through this house that we live in right now. And as we toured it, I was just amazed, because every single thing that I had on my sticky notes and every single thing that I'd written out, like this house had it. Even where I'm sitting right now in my podcast room, it was this alcove, but we thought, hey, we could add a little wall and a door and we could make that my podcast room. And we just started dreaming and we went through it. But then we still needed to figure out, okay, could we make it? Could we move here? Is this something we can actually do? Because anyway, it's really important for us to be debt free and to be really careful with how we spend our money. And I think both of us, we came from pretty humble backgrounds and we wanted to make sure that we were making a wise decision. So long story short, we moved into this home, and when we first got here, like the day we got the keys and we came in, and I just remember I laid on the floor and I opened up my Evernote and I was amazed with this process and what had happened. Okay, and we have used our home the way we intended. I still go back and look at that. What are the purposes for each room? How are we using this? And we are hosting events. We work with college students right now with our church. They come over. We have our children's friends over. Not as much as we like. We're working on that. But our home has become a place where we work and serve and live, and it's exactly what we wanted. So now I just want to share where I am right now because I'm kind of stepping into that next level. So here at Learn, Do, Become, we have been now building for 6 years. And we're at a pivotal time right now, and we're making some adjustments to what we're doing. It's exciting in many ways, but things have changed as far as how you market things, the community online, the needs, how we articulate how the programs serve people. We've made adjustments in our team, made adjustments mindset-wise. Eric and I are making adjustments in how we work together. We're kind of at that point where we need to make some adjustments, and part of me is a little nervous because I kind of hear that voice sometimes saying, April, you don't even know what you're doing. Why are you even bothering to put forth all this effort? You're not really needed. You're not that important. You don't really know like anything that anyone else needs to know. Like, don't be narcissistic. Don't put yourself out there. All these different voices, all these different messages coming my way. But then there's this other voice that I'm working to listen to, and I hope that as you are going through experiences like this, you're choosing to listen to that other voice that reminds you that, first of all, it's not about you. This work that we want to do in our efforts to be able to strengthen other people and the next generation and to be able to leave a legacy and to be able to help strengthen the world, it's not about us. It's about the people who need us. Like I was talking with Eric this morning, and I just said, Eric, I know right now there are people out there who are praying for what we have to offer. I know that because I get emails literally like every single week saying, this is an answer to prayer. This is what I've been praying for. So I know that those people aren't the only ones. In fact, there was someone who posted in our Step Mastery Facebook group. I don't know, it was a couple days ago. I'm pulling up my phone right now because I want to actually read what they said. Okay, here it is. It was posted, okay. It says, we're a pretty unique bunch of people. This website is a godsend. Life was stagnant before this. Remember how hopeless your outlook was before finding STEP? I definitely do. Can you imagine not knowing about STEP? Think of all the people in the world with our problem who don't know about STEP. They are struggling badly. How do we get the word out so more people can find out about it? I just was so excited and grateful when I read that, and also humbled, and also thinking, okay, you're right. We do need to get the word out better. I need to step up. I need to be doing a better job leading this. I need to be talking about it more. People are feeling overwhelmed, and I don't want them to feel overwhelmed, but how do we actually communicate what it is we can help people do so their minds are calm, their spaces are clean, they're not overwhelmed? And how do we help people to come in and make these commitments to themselves without feeling scared or nervous or stressed out? So anyway, that's what I'm working on behind the scenes. I just want you to know that I am here and I am walking in a lot of faith right now, because there's a lot of times I think, man, it really is easier not to try to do something hard. And I'm sure you're like nodding your head, yep, if I decided not to care and not to try to live a personal mission and not to try to make a difference, I could just hang out and watch my favorite shows and all would be good. But really, it wouldn't be good. You know that there are beautiful things ahead for you. And I hope that you know that we're here to work alongside you. Now, if you want to work with us at a deeper level, I'm just going to give you a couple ways. Well, we have 2 programs, and we're not planning to really add more. That's kind of what we want. We may have more in the future, but right now, if you want to be in our Steps to Everyday Productivity program, now is the best time ever to join, because we're going to continue to improve and add to it, and you're going to be grandfathered into all those improvements. So learndobecome.com/step program, all one word. That tells you all about the program and how you can join if you want to join. Also, we have an Arise membership. We just taught our class this week for December. That's where Eric and I work more together with our team and our community in Arise. We're all Arisers. So we're not just talking about organization and productivity. We're talking about how do you actually live your purpose? How do you create financial security? How do you take all of those aspects of this life you want to build, and how do you help it all come together? And how do we overcome those limiting beliefs and all the stuff weighing us down? And how do we bring goodness into our lives so that we can feel that every day? So those are my invitations to you. Okay, I've got a meeting. I'm going to jump off. I just wanted to sit down and record that because it was just in my heart. I love you. I'm grateful for you. Come to learndobecome.com/arise is where you can find out about Arise. And then just thank you. Thanks for the work you're doing. I want to encourage you in your faith and your efforts and let you know that all these awesome things we're working towards, there's help beyond what we can see. And there's a lot of help as we come together. Okay, have a great day. See you soon at learndobecome.com.